What happens when the person you lose is also the person who taught you some of life's hardest lessons? What happens when grief forces you to look honestly at a relationship, at yourself, and at the truth you've spent years trying to make sense of? And what happens when you finally stop questioning your own intuition and grief forces you to tell the truth? Today we're talking about complicated love, difficult realities, widowhood, healing, and learning to trust yourself again. Because sometimes the greatest thing grief reveals isn't who they were, it's who you are. If you don't know me, I'm Jen, host of The Dead Truth, and someone who believes healing starts with honesty. And today's conversation is one I think many women need to hear. Stay with me. This episode is dedicated to Mel, whose love still teaches me how to live. The one whose story began this one. Thank you for showing me that love isn't found in perfect stories, but in honest ones. And thank you for inspiring me to create a place where people can tell the whole truth about their lives, their grief, and their healing. Hey there, and welcome to The Dead Truth, a place where stories matter, grief is welcome, and nobody has to walk through the storm alone. This isn't just a podcast about death. It's a podcast about what death reveals. And if you're grieving, struggling, healing, rebuilding, or just trying to make sense of life after loss, you're in the right place. A quick disclaimer, I am not a licensed therapist or counselor. I'm a woman sharing my real-life experience with grief and widowhood. Unfiltered, not always perfect, but always the truth. I hope what I share resonates and helps you navigate through your journey a bit easier. Make sure to like and subscribe to this episode and follow The Dead Truth on your favorite podcast platform and on social media at The Dead Truth Podcast. Let's get started. Every widowhood story is different. Some people lose incredible marriages. Some lose complicated marriages. Some lose relationships that contain both love and pain. As I have learned, and I'm sure many of you resonate with, is we know there is no hierarchy of grief, and there is no one correct way to mourn. Today I'm joined by Stephanie Dana. Stephanie is an adventurer at heart. She is a dancer, dance instructor, yoga and fitness instructor, singer, photographer, dog lover, someone deeply involved in her community, and someone who embraces life with incredible energy and passion. I will tell you, she is one of the most amazing women I have had the honor to know. She is one of those people who seems to embrace life with both arms open wide. Like many of us, she has also experienced profound loss. Nearly 3 years ago, Stephanie's husband TJ unexpectedly passed away. Like so many widows, Stephanie's journey didn't start or end the day her husband died. She had to learn how to navigate grief and discover how to make a life for herself after such pain and tragedy. Today we're talking about relationships, mental health, self-trust, healing, and the courage it takes to tell a story honestly, even when that story is complicated. Because sometimes the best stories are rarely neat. And honestly, that's why I think this episode may resonate so deeply. Today's conversation isn't just about widowhood. It isn't about telling anyone how grief should look. It's about sharing real stories from real people. Stephanie, welcome to The Dead Truth.
Thank you. Thank you. I'm honored to be here. You already got me teary, so
Yeah.
we'll see how it goes.
It will go great. So thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
I just want to start with, I want to tell you thank you for being here and just how privileged and honored I am that you made the decision to be on the podcast. And I know that it's been a few years since TJ passed. And so, grief and widowhood is never easy to talk about. So having to go back into that and, it may bring up a lot of things. And so I just want to tell you how brave and courageous you are.
Thank you.
And that I just appreciate that you're willing to tell your story. And I know how much it's going to help so many women, because I'm sure that many will resonate with your story.
Good. I hope so.
Yeah. So let's just, right out the gate, let's just jump into having you tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay.
Yeah.
So where to even start? I have lived in Utah my whole life, born and raised. I love it here. I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. By day, I'm a care advocate in the health industry, and I love it because I feel like it really is helping people. I get to call people after they've been in the hospital or diagnosed with specific diseases, and I actually get to work with the behavioral health people, which is very tender to my heart right now. I'm also, like you said, a dance teacher and a fitness teacher. I'm a sound healer. I love facilitating sound baths. And then I've owned my own photography business for over 25 years, which I love. Other than that, I adore being outside. I love scary movies. I love any movies, but I love scary movies.
Yeah.
Especially if I can cuddle up with some popcorn. What else do I love? I love singing, reading, writing, poetry. I did write some stuff down, and I'm just kind of, and I did write that I would never turn down, ever, Italian food or watermelon, ever.
Yeah.
Yeah. But the things I think that really, really drive me are my circle of people. And I think it's always been that way in my life. But right now it's my family and my friends, my boyfriend and his daughters, my son, and also my dog, Axel. I can't forget him.
I see
he's
him
like
all
my
over
favorite.
your social media.
Yeah. He's a big part of my life. So.
Yeah. And you do seem to be very close to your family.
I am.
I love that.
Yeah. And I have the most amazing best friend in the whole world too. So
Good.
yeah, I got some good ones for sure.
Nice.
Yeah.
So you've always seemed to be someone who embraces life. And were you always that way, or did it develop over time, or you've been that way ever since you were small?
So I really think I was probably that way always. But when I started thinking about it, I feel like I owe that to my parents. So growing up, my mom and dad always gave me the chance to try everything. I did art classes. I did dance, gymnastics, soccer, softball. I did voice lessons. I did opera lessons. I did swim lessons, so many things because my parents wanted me to experience everything. And looking back, I think that really wasn't just giving me activities, but they were giving me a view of the world, like an open view of the world. And every new thing that I tried introduced me to different people, different experiences, different ways of seeing life. And I think that's really what did it. And not just that, but the fact that there's so many different types of people in the world. So I think it just opened my view to wanting to envelop and learn and be around all different things and accept all different ways of life and different things. So I really think that my parents did me justice with that. You know, when you grow up living around so many different things, how could you not love life and just want more?
You're able to adapt and to embrace it more.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
Good. What role? So you dance, you do yoga, fitness.
Yeah.
So you don't sit still, it seems.
No.
You're always moving, which I love. That's what we're supposed to do with our bodies, right? So what role has movement played in your healing?
A big one, a really, really big one, I think. Movement is, in my mind, one of the greatest healers because it's very powerful in the way that it doesn't require words. You don't have to talk about it. You don't have to explain yourself. You don't have to find the right words. You don't have to hope you say the right thing. You don't have to pretend you're okay. You just move.
Right.
You just move.
Yes.
Yeah.
I saw, so you have a couple YouTube channels. You have one for your music, and then you have more of a personal, just your personal YouTube. But I saw a video that you did called Hope. And
Yeah.
I believe it was a poem that you wrote.
It was.
And you spoke. It wasn't music. You read your poem as you danced on stage. And I just thought that was so beautiful.
Thank you.
And powerful. Was that for somebody specific or?
Me, actually. When I first did that, I had been fighting cancer.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So
Okay.
it was just about, being so scared, but trying to move forward and still feel the sunshine on your face. And yeah, so it was a poem that I wrote, and it was about what I was experiencing at that time. And
It was beautiful.
Yeah, thank
It was
you.
like 2 minutes long. It wasn't super long, but it was just so powerful.
Thank you.
So
Thank you.
I did love that.
Yeah, that was a while ago.
Yeah,
nice to remember.
You've been doing a lot of things
Yeah,
for quite some
forever.
time. You're not like a newbie.
No.
You just didn't like pick up all these interests just
No. Yeah.
recently. Yes, you've been doing it for a long time.
Yeah.
I love that. So when grief felt unbearable, did movement, I guess we talked about that it helped you process the emotions that you were going through and to be able to put it into words and so.
Yeah, for sure. Because sometimes your body can explain things that words can't, even if it's in your own mind and not to the person watching. But I do, I think it's a place that you're allowed to feel it without having to label it when you're just moving your body instead of having to speak it. And I think a lot of people underestimate how much is stored in our body, not just our mind, where the tension and all of that. And that's movement is a way to release that. And a lot of people
The emotions that you do hold inside.
Exactly.
That you tuck deep down. And so, you are able to release it that way.
Yeah.
Nice.
Exactly.
Good. And how about your music? So you write music, you have a beautiful voice, you sing. Has music helped you get through the grief process and your widowhood journey?
Yeah, I made a lot of notes about that. I think music is everything. It really is. So there's something that I feel like is almost eerie and supernatural about music because it has the ability to meet you wherever you are. It depends on the song, obviously, but you can be happy, angry, devastated. You could be nostalgic, right? And you can find music that will hold those emotions for you without flinching. You can find something.
I agree.
And I wrote down here that I have playlists that are labeled for different emotions. So depending on what's going on in my head, I'm like, okay, today I'm feeling, super nostalgic, and I have a playlist that I play for that. And it helps me to go through those emotions, to get them out, to let them flow without, again, having to speak, because sometimes it's hard to speak about it, to tell someone about it. So, I wrote here, music doesn't judge. It doesn't try to fix you or rush you through what you're feeling. It just kind of holds you wherever you're at. And then there's the creating side. Like you said, I'm a singer-songwriter. So as a poet and a writer, when something is just too big for me to feel, I just start to write. I write and I write and I write, sometimes until my hand can barely move, but it gets it out on paper. It's like my heart finds a way to come out through my fingertips, just what I'm feeling. And just like movement, like you said, it's a release. It's not about being perfect, finding the perfect tune, the perfect words. It's just about getting it out.
Right.
So, yeah, I think music is incredible.
I agree.
Yeah.
When did you first know that you could write? Have you been doing this since you were young? Yeah. Like you just would have thoughts and immediately would write them down? Or?
Yeah, definitely. As a young person, a lot of poetry and short stories. And then it grew into poetry that I kind of moved into lyrics. So my singing career actually didn't start until, maybe my 20s. I sang with like choirs and things like that because I love to sing. But it was actually a friend of mine who begged me to go do a cover with him, like produce just a cover song, because he said, your voice is amazing. Like, let's go record.
It is.
And then, thank you. And then the producer of that, the guy that we went and recorded with, he was like, I don't know why you're not singing. And I just started talking to him, and I was like, I always write things down that I think could be songs. And he was really the one that was like, bring them to me. Let's make them music. And
Yes.
he started me on that road, which I'm very thankful for, because I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Are you still doing that a lot?
Yeah, I actually performed yesterday. Yeah.
Did you?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I love it. Just little, coffee shops and fairs and things like that. But,
Do you play the guitar, or
oh my gosh, I wish.
does
I can like pluck a few things and I can plink a few things on the piano, but I keep telling myself I'm going to teach myself. But
Yeah, I wasn't sure in
No.
your videos. I watched some of your videos, so
nice. Well, thank
I
you.
love Everywhere because, of course, it resonates with what we're going through. Loss
Yeah.
and grief. I mean, it was so beautiful.
Thank you.
And then I loved It's You
Oh, thanks.
because it's just super fun.
Yeah.
Kind of country
Very country.
dance. Like it's a country song that you just want to get up and dance
Yes.
to, and just a really happy.
Thank you. I love that.
bubbly
That was the
song.
first single I ever
Oh,
released.
really?
So
Yeah, it's a good one.
Thank
It's
you.
fun.
Thank you.
It's fun. And then I mentioned Hope,
yeah.
the one that you did where you read your poem and danced. And that one made me cry. I was just like, wow, that is so, so beautiful.
Thank you. I love that. Instilling emotion is what I want to do. So
Good, good.
yeah.
Okay. Anything else that you want to share about you?
Oh, no. Just me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We were saying how we were both Geminis.
Yes.
Or we are. We weren't
Yes.
were.
Yeah,
we
we
are
are.
Geminis.
Yes.
And that there's two of us.
Yes.
So
Yep. The twins.
there's always
Yep.
a lot that we can say about ourselves, right?
That's
'Cause
true.
we just
That's true.
Yeah. So let's jump into talking a little bit about your husband, TJ.
Okay.
He passed almost 3 years ago, full 3 years ago. So how I wanted to start this segment was just reading his obituary.
Okay.
It's beautiful. You wrote this,
I did.
right?
I did.
I loved it. I
Thank
loved
you.
it. It just really, if you didn't know him, you could read this and know him.
Good.
So I'm just going to read just some of the things that he liked and who he was. So it says that he was a son, brother, friend, husband, and father. His childhood was filled with baseball, shooting bows, fishing, and riding his favorite horse, Smokey. He graduated from Hillcrest High and attended college afterwards in Arizona. It says in a word, TJ was inquisitive, and his keen intellect drove his pursuits. Some of his passions included reading books, bowling, riding his motorcycle, music, baseball trivia, the outdoors, treasure hunts, being a father and uncle, and watching anything on the History Channel. I thought that was funny.
Yeah.
Yeah. He wanted to learn and understand everything around him and loved researching conspiracies and the unknown. So I bet he was always throwing out,
Always.
if you were talking about something, he would throw a conspiracy.
Yes.
Yes.
But what about this? And what about this?
Yeah,
All the
yeah.
time.
And were you like, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I know a few people like that too.
Oh, yeah.
And then after a while, you're just like, okay,
Not everything.
Yes, yes. So I thought that was super cute. We all knew we'd lose playing any kind of trivia game with him.
Mm-hmm.
We'd constantly tease him about being full of useless information. He said he felt more like himself and at home in the mountains than he did anywhere else. The outdoors made him feel limitless with genuine freedom and happiness. He enjoyed hunting and camping with dear friends and family, and would have lived every day shaded by trees away from the city if he could have. He felt the same way about riding his motorcycle. He would use any excuse to go for a ride, even just down the street. He loved telling stories about his long motorcycle trip to the Grand Canyon and also taking his son on organized rides where his son was known to fall asleep on the back.
Yep.
Writing gave TJ a strong and manly image, and he loved it. He always boasted about how people would look at him in his leather vest, riding boots, do-rag, and sunglasses like he was a rock star. So that made me visualize him like that.
Oh, yeah.
That's awesome. He was stubborn at times and tough, but he also had an enormous heart and great sense of humor. He was very generous, loyal and brave. He was clever and passionate. He was full to the brim with life experiences, living in many states, taking many adventures with friends and family, archery competitions, working different types of jobs, and his favorite adventure was being a father.
Yeah.
He will always be remembered for his love, laughter, and stories. We know he is now at peace, no longer in pain, and surrounded by loved ones. And then at the end, you had this, which I thought was very beautiful. It said, in this tragedy, let us find and encourage within ourselves and within our families those gifts that make each of us special, the extraordinary beauty of the simple human heart.
Yeah.
That's beautiful. And then you had a celebration of life for him.
Yeah, we did.
Okay. So yeah, I just wanted to read just so we could get to know a little bit about who TJ
who he was.
Yes. So what made you fall in love with TJ when you first met him?
You know, at the very beginning, I don't think it was anything about romance. It was more friendship. We worked together. That's why we met. And honestly, that might be exactly what did it for me, was the friendship.
Mm-hmm.
We had a lot in common right off the start, but one thing that really stands out is the scary movie thing. So I didn't have a lot of friends that were like into that, but he loved scary movies too. So we could always talk about it, like even at work or on a lunch date or whatever, we would talk about like which ones are good and bad. And I didn't really have anybody to talk about that with. So it was like this little thing that was just ours.
Something you had in common.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that it was fun and easy. So, and another thing right at the beginning, you know, we all have a past, and, you know, some of my past stories are a little complicated, and I felt like TJ didn't even flinch. It was just very non-judgmental. And I think in that it made me feel like I belonged somewhere. So I think at the beginning that was what drew me in.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And so what are some of your favorite memories together with him?
Oh, you know, most of them are outdoors. He taught me how to shoot a bow. Never got one of my own, but he would let me shoot his son's, which was more my size, you know. Four-wheeling. We loved going four-wheeling, being in the mountains, camping. One of my favorite things to do with him was ride on his motorcycle. You know, it just, it's very freeing. I don't know if you've ever done it before. Unless you're on the freeway, it's kind of scary.
Mel had a motorcycle when I first met him, too.
See.
And that's one thing that attracted me to him. I was like, he has a motorcycle.
Yes,
this is the
like
best.
the wind in your hair, and you're on the back of this manly man. And yeah, I never wanted one of my own. He always was like, should we get you one of your own? And I was like, no, I just want to ride on the back of yours.
Right.
You know, but that's probably, like, when I think about the really good times with TJ, a lot of them are on the back of the motorcycle.
Mm-hmm.
So,
yeah, it's the best.
It is.
So, I can totally resonate with that. I agree.
Good.
For sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything else that just spending time doing activities together?
Oh, another thing that I wrote down was treasure hunting. So I wish I remembered the name of the guys that do it, but here in Utah where we're at, there's two men that do a big treasure hunt. I think they do it every other year, maybe every year, but they do this poem and they hide this treasure, like money, like big amounts of money somewhere in Utah.
Okay.
And TJ used to love to try and find that. We never did, but I mean, he would just every night drilling into it, and we'd take drives and we'd hike and we'd try to find it. And and that was really fun, more to watch him try to figure it out, you know? But yeah, and he would get everybody he knew involved He would call people and ask questions and, what do you think this means? And I think it's here. You tell me what you think. And so
he was serious.
Oh my gosh,
about
so
this.
serious.
I've
Yeah.
never heard of that.
Yeah. I wish I remember what they were called, but yeah. I mean, it's like thousands of dollars that they hide.
That would be worth
yeah.
searching for.
Yeah. Yeah. And it just gets people outside and excited. And yeah. And it usually takes like weeks and weeks for someone to find it. It's difficult. It's not easy. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that sounds
stuff like
fun.
that. Yeah.
And then what is something about him that you never want people to forget?
Yeah. So, when I read this question, when you sent it to me, my first thought was his heart, his real heart, not the one that was clouded sometimes, or not the one that struggled, but the one that was underneath all of that, the one that was just beautifully human. TJ really had a heart that cared deeply. For people who didn't know him well, they probably were shocked to know that he was very emotional. Like, TJ was a crier. And when you think about like the motorcycle man or the outdoorsy man, you don't really think about that. But I mean, movies or a song would come on and he would just be in tears. So he just was easily touched. And I feel like he really wanted meaningful, real connection with people. I think he really longed for that. I don't think the world made that easy for him, but I do think he longed for that. And more than anything, I think he genuinely wanted happiness, not just for himself, but for the people he loved. He really wanted that. And that's the TJ that I want people to remember. Not the darker version of his story, which, we'll talk a little bit more about, but the version that when he was trying to reach for something good.
Yes.
I think that heart is worth remembering.
Okay.
Yeah.
I love that.
Thanks.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about the reality of the relationship.
Yeah.
And one thing that you shared with me is that your marriage wasn't always what you had hoped. And you said you'd be comfortable talking about that. So let's start with that. You mentioned that after he died, that you put him on a pedestal.
Yeah, I did.
What did that look like?
I hope that I can do all of this, gracefully, but I do think, like you said, that there's a lot of people out there that will resonate with this story. So it's a little complicated. So I want to try to explain a little bit and then kind of putting him on the pedestal after, just so people can kind of get a version of the story. I'll do it as honestly as I can. So it was July of 2023. We'd been married for years, and we were on our annual camping trip with my family. Something that's supposed to be good, just a camping trip. And TJ did what he had done many times before. He would make this narrative in his head that he believed 100% was true. It didn't matter if it was so far from the truth. That's what his brain would tell him. And he did that about something about how I didn't want to be spending time with him, that I didn't want him there. And sadly, it ended up, he took the car and left me and his son 2 hours away from home. He just left. And, we were lucky to have family that, of course, wouldn't leave us stranded. But, I feel that we were lucky to have those people there. But the damage was kind of done at that time, And when I got back, I finally got the courage to tell him that I think maybe a separation was in order, that he needed help, and that I felt like I couldn't do that for him, or me being there was maybe a crutch for him not to do it. But I stayed for a while. Like I tried, we talked a lot. He was really, really irate, very angry at the idea of me leaving. And I remember his son sitting on the stairs when he would be screaming at me. And I think his son was just worried, trying to make sure that I was okay.
Sure.
And that's an image that I will never forget just the, the fear and the screaming and the anger and just, his cute son just
How
sitting on
old
the
was he at the
stairs.
time?
He was 19,
Okay.
but he had done 1 year of college and was back for the summer.
Mm-hmm.
So like I said, I tried to stay, but ultimately it was actually TJ's own sister that ended up telling me that she didn't think his son and I were safe in the house and that we needed to leave. And she told him the same thing. And actually that day he let me walk out the door, and it wasn't, it was a moment of, which is kind of crazy to think of, but I actually tried to hug him when I left, and he told me he didn't deserve a hug.
Okay.
So, you can see kind of the level of mental anguish, But anyway, the next 2 months were just, the only word I can think of to describe it is hell. It was just, I still talked to him every single day. Even met up with him sometimes, had lunch, or would bring my dog then that had lived with him the whole time we were married. He would want to see her. And so I still, I wanted him to get better. I really did. Like, sure. I had so much hope and was trying to motivate him. And but the manipulation and the storytelling was just crazy even then. And he was actually in an outpatient intensive therapy program at that time. So he would have really good, like, weeks even where he just was opening up, and he was, apologizing to people where the therapist had told him, like, you need to tell the people, these people the truth that you lied to, and you need to do this, and we need to get it all out in the open. And he would do really good. And then he would sink back, and just the manipulation and the storytelling. And then sadly, as you and I have talked about personally, but the darkness won, and TJ took his own life the end of September 2023. Okay. And this is kind of the hard part to explain when we talked about putting him on a pedestal. From the moment we found him, like that very second, it was almost like all of the pain he caused just slipped away. And I don't even know how it happened. Like, I don't get it even in my own mind. But all I could think about was the good things, what I was losing, who he was leaving behind, all of the good memories, the reason that I was with him in the first place, when I had first met him, all of those things were what were flooding in, not the pain, that he had caused. And I thought about his kids, and I thought about his family, and I framed pictures, and I put all belongings in the room. I was staying with my parents, right? I put belongings in there, and it was just kind of a shrine really at first. And it was like he suddenly became the perfect husband and the perfect father. And I think it was one of the most disorienting parts of losing him, or of losing someone complicated. For other people who are listening, his grief doesn't really wait for you to sort that stuff out. It just happens, right? And it just rushed in and filled every corner of my mind with love and longing, and suddenly the pain just kind of drifted away, which was interesting.
Yeah. Well, I think because that's who you are. You have a big heart.
Yeah.
You loved him. Sometimes no matter how much somebody hurts us, we still love them. We just don't love who they are.
Yeah.
Or who they're being in certain
the decisions
times,
they're making.
the decisions they're making. And it seems that they hurt the ones they love the most.
Oh, yeah.
That's what is the confusing and most boggling part of all of it, right? And so I think possibly, I don't know if you'd agree, but I think by putting him on a pedestal, or creating a shrine, or just remembering all the good times, I think that's just part of how we try to cope with what's happening in the moment, because we're just in such shock.
Yes.
And so that's what you did to comfort yourself in that moment, which I think is okay. Yeah. And I'm sure that most do that.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And so at what point after the loss did you realize that that version of the story was not really true,
Not the
that he
whole truth.
wasn't, nobody's perfect, but
Yes.
that you had put him up on a pedestal to some degree? When did you realize, I can't keep following that narrative?
Yeah. It really surfaced little by little. And I honestly think 3 years later, still some of it surfaces, right?
Right,
Depending on things that are happening. But, we all know that grief has its own timeline. We know
Has its
that.
own timeline.
Yes.
And it reveals
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
Like you said, not all at once.
No,
It
yeah.
continues to do that.
Yeah. Slowly. The process was slowly and even gently things would kind of come back in. And I think our heart only lets in what it can handle. I think our brain and our heart know that our bodies can't handle everything all at once.
For sure.
And, but really the first real crack in that pedestal came from TJ's son. And, I'll never forget it. We were actually sitting in the car together and he grabbed my hand and he said, "Steph, I know that you're heartbroken. Like I know you are." And he said, "But I hope that you can see the decision that my dad made, opened up a path for not only you, but for me." And he said, he said, "We're not chained anymore, Steph." He said, what my dad was going through was difficult and we were chained to that. It was the narrative of our life. Every moment was around what was happening with TJ because we wanted him to be okay.
Yes.
And he said, now we can find our truth and our happiness, our own path, and we're free. We're not being pulled back by anything else.
Mm-hmm.
And I had to sit with that for a minute. I
bet.
really had to sit with that for a minute. But, here's this young man, this 19-year-old.
That's just, as you're telling me that, I'm just like,
Yeah.
a 19-year-old to just
Has that
know
clarity.
that. Doesn't mean he's not sad or
no.
that he's not going to miss his dad.
Yeah.
But to just recognize what it all means.
Yeah. It was just
For
a
all of
clear, it was just more clear for him.
Mm-hmm.
And, he had taken kind of a break from speaking with his dad for a little bit, because of all the things that were happening. And I think that helped him to get a clear image of it too, because he backed away from it, right? Where I was still right in the thick of it. All those days, even though I wasn't living with him, I still was talking to him and driving him places and doing things like that. And I think the fact that his son kind of was able to step back and see the whole picture, it helped him get that kind of clear view. And so when he shared that with me, I was like, okay, if he can do this, then I can do this.
Yes. And
I
that you
can
could
think
both
about it
support
that
one
way.
another. For sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
And again, it's hard when you're in the moment
to
understand. And sometimes the younger ones are the ones that are so wise.
Yeah.
That's how my son is. Like he teaches me something new every
all the
day.
time.
And I think too, with situations like that because he had not been talking, he had pulled away from his dad a little bit.
Yes.
And then the death happened with his father. I think that sometimes it's okay to put things into two buckets, for example. Like in the one bucket, my dad hurt me. We're not speaking, like all of this that happened between them. Yeah. But then the other bucket is, I lost my dad. He's no longer here. I'm going to miss him. I love him. Yeah. And that it's okay to have both.
Yes.
Because, because you don't want to erase one for the other. You don't want to forget that he did hurt you in many ways. But you can also still love and miss him. Yeah. So hopefully that made sense. But that's how I like to look at it.
No, 100%.
That two things can be true at once.
Yes, they have to be.
Like a famous saying right now.
Yes.
But it totally just makes sense that you can feel both ways and that's okay.
Yeah, I agree.
you've spoke a little bit about it. You mentioned mental illness became part of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
How did that impact your marriage and your experience as a spouse?
Yeah.
And then I'm just going to throw this in really quick with it. Can you miss someone and still be honest about the ways that they hurt you?
Okay. Yes, I think mental illness kind of distorted almost everything, especially through the years it got worse and worse. And I think almost everything at the end was distorted, especially when it came to communication. I think both TJ and I were communicating through this lens of either fear or exhaustion or lies that have been told between us. And when you communicate through something like that, it clogs it up. It's not real. The mental illness made me feel a deep detachment, not only from TJ, but from myself. As I tried to kind of navigate through each day, hoping and praying that it would be a good one.
Yes.
TJ he would get very anxious, very withdrawn. He would get defensive, and he would misinterpret a lot. Like almost anything you said, he would twist and turn it. Like I said, to that narrative, that was one of the biggest things.
Mm-hmm. So you were probably just running around in circles all the time trying to make him understand something you said or an action that you took. And I mean, that would be exhausting.
Yeah. And I don't, I want to be a little bit careful with this. After he passed, I found out that a lot of things TJ had told me about his life were untrue. But one of the things that we did talk about was that he was diagnosed with borderline personality disorder. Now, in all of the research I have done, even when I was with him or after he passed, I believe that fits. So, I'm not 100% sure he was actually diagnosed with that, but it feels like it fits. And it's very dissociative. It's a terrible mental illness, and my heart goes out to anybody who's dealing with that. But I think he dealt with that most of his life with little treatment or support, whether, they didn't know or didn't realize he needed help or anything like that, right?
Probably all of that.
Yeah. And, through it, I also, how, we talked about how it affected me. I developed kind of this chronic fatigue, and I was sick all the time, whether it was a cold or a stomach ache, or I was just so tired. And I owned my own dance studio at the time, and I was just running ragged. And I know it was because of walking on those eggshells all the time.
For sure.
All the time.
Yeah.
And it not only weighed heavily on my emotional, but also my physical. And there was, I want to be careful because I don't, and I kind of told you this, I don't want to drag TJ's name through the mud. That's not why I'm here. I just want to talk about the experience. He, I think he was a good person at heart. He was just struggling. Mental illness was taking over.
He had a disease.
Yes. But there was, emotional abuse, physical abuse, sexual abuse. And so it got to the point where almost everything felt icky. And I had to take my mind to other places to get through any type of intimacy. Mm-hmm. And that is very wearing as a spouse, because there was,
that's an important part of a relationship.
It just got to the point where I just felt like I was stepping out of myself to get through it, to get through the day. And you asked if you can miss someone and be honest about the way that they hurt you. And I think you have to. I think you have to get to that point.
Yes.
Because if you only hold one side of it, like you said, 2 buckets, it's only going to allow, if you only allow yourself the grief without the truth, or the truth without the grief, you're not really healing. You're just managing.
Yes.
Right?
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. So loving someone doesn't cancel out what happened, and what happened doesn't cancel out the grieving. And these two things can exist in the same heart at the same time. They whether we have permission or not, they do. They exist there.
Yes.
They do.
Many people might not know how to navigate through that, though.
Yes.
So they choose one or the other.
Yes. Which then like I said, you're really not moving forward. You're not healing. You're not grieving.
Exactly.
And I miss TJ. I genuinely do. I wish he was still here. I miss the man who talked about the scary movies. I miss the heart that wanted so desperately to be loved. And I miss what I think he could have been if he could have gotten through it,
He died very young.
He did, 47.
That's
that's
really
baby.
young.
Yeah.
And so he had
I
many
just
years
turned 44.
ahead of him. And his own, his continued unfolding in life that he wasn't able to do. So, of course, you love the man that he was and that you had hoped that he could have been well.
Yeah.
I mean, you would never wish anything bad on him, even in the worst of times, right?
I never did. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I still carry what happened as well.
Oh,
right.
Yes.
So there's both. And I think for a long time, especially for women who loved someone through darkness, I think we are kind of taught that the truth somehow means that we didn't love them enough, right? If we talk about the darkness, like honesty and love can't coexist. Mm-hmm. They can. And I think the real healing actually lives right in the middle of that tension.
Yes.
Right? It lives in the place where you can say, I loved you. You hurt me. I miss you, but I also feel free. Right?
Exactly.
All of those can be the truth all at the same time.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Some people are just not easy to love, fully.
Yeah.
And you definitely, it sounds like you definitely tried to work through it.
Oh, yeah.
And then finding out that he was possibly diagnosed with borderline personality. Yeah. I'm sure that helped you obviously understand a lot of things.
Try to. Yeah.
And a lot of things made more sense. Mm-hmm. So that probably helped in the healing too, a little bit.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I really delved into that. I wanted to know, like, what does that mean? What does this do to your psyche? What kind of things did he believe? And it just, so much of it made sense.
Yeah.
So much of it.
Yes.
Yeah. And to think that he probably lived with that for so many years. Like of course I can't say for sure, but I would say that it started in his teenage years. Mm. And I think he built so much on that manipulation and the lies and the more you read about borderline personality, the more you know that they really believe that they have to be a certain kind of person for someone to love them, even though that's not true, right? Like even all of the stories that I found out now that he fabricated, I wouldn't have cared about that. Like that was not what made me love him. None of those stories. Mm-hmm. And they were big things like accomplishments and things like that he would talk about.
He felt like that's what he had to tell.
And I think
story he had to tell.
Yeah, he built upon lie upon lie upon lie that I can only imagine how draining that was for him to try and remember and keep all of it straight and thinking that people only loved him because of all these stories he was telling.
Yeah. It's heartbreaking.
It is. It is.
It really is.
It is.
Did you ever feel like your loss and your grief didn't look like others? And then let me throw this one in. Did the people who were close to you know what you had experienced? Okay. So were you ever afraid? Did they know as it was going on? And then after he passed, did you feel comfortable sharing that with people? Or did you feel like there would be judgment? Like you said, I loved him, but...
Right.
And you didn't want people to think that...
Right.
Right. One or the other. So...
Yeah. About the grief looking different, I definitely... And I think it still does. I think it's something we don't talk about enough because there's kind of this unspoken pressure when you're grieving to do it in a certain way.
For sure.
I'm sure you know that. Yeah.
Yes.
Kind of something that makes sense to other people. You follow this kind of invisible timeline or checklist But grief doesn't really work like that. And I also think even when two people have very similar circumstances, even identical circumstances, they're still two completely different human beings.
Oh, yes.
They're walking two different paths. They have their own history, their own wounds, their own ways of processing, and hopefully eventually healing. But it's different. All of our journeys are different.
Yes.
The same but different, right? My experience was different from yours, and both of ours are different than people who are listening today. You know, there's just so many. And I think instead of that being a lonely thing, I actually was thinking it's kind of beautiful, because that means that our grief is ours. It's ours. It's no one else's. It belongs to you. It's shaped by everything that made you who you are. Every relationship, not just the one with the person that you lost, but every scar, every moment of joy. And I don't think that's a flaw in the process. I think it's just part of human existence.
Yes. Although sometimes society can make you think otherwise.
Exactly.
That something is wrong with you, or that you should have not experienced that or made that choice or been in that relationship. But
and I think we can find comfort in each other's stories, right? We nod and we agree, oh, I felt that too. And I think that connection really matters. But at the end of the day, nobody else is living your exact life. So nobody can grieve the exact same way you do. Mm-hmm. And that's okay. And I think that's something that we need to own and be okay with that. Mm-hmm. You know, let ourselves grieve in the way that feels right for our heart.
For us, yes.
Yeah.
Still be able to share it.
Yes.
Still support one another. And I think the biggest thing is we just want people to listen and acknowledge that this is how we're working through it. This is what happened.
Yeah.
And that's really, for me anyway, I don't know if for you, but just having someone listen and just acknowledge that I'm going through this.
Yeah. Or to just be there, to just sit next to you and not, it doesn't matter that you're crying, or it doesn't matter that you don't want to talk or that you do want to talk. They're there. Mm-hmm. They're just next to you, and that's all you need to know.
But you find that's a really small circle of people.
Yes. And I think it's hard for people.
It is
that's
so
understandable.
hard. It is, again, back to how we've been raised or how society teaches us. There's a beginning and an end of grief.
That is so not true.
And it is so not true.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah, like a bereavement period from work. And then you should be good.
Then you should be good. Or you're getting up every day, you're still functioning, so you must be okay.
Oh, yeah, that's, And you even did an episode on high functioning widows. That's what that reminds me of. Yeah.
Are you?
100%. 100%.
Yeah.
Yeah. I just dove back in as soon as I felt like I could, which, you know, I think is good and bad, like you've said.
It is.
You know,
it is. But sometimes that's just for me, that's just who I am.
Yes.
I've always been that way.
Yes.
And so when I did the same thing after Mel passed,
it was familiar.
I judged myself for a minute.
Oh, yeah.
And it was familiar.
Yeah.
But I judged myself for a minute,
how
thinking,
can you do this?
Yeah, how can you go back to work this soon? Or, but I had already been off work for months because of him being sick in the hospital and everything.
Yeah.
So I just thought, well, what else am I going to do?
Get back to my life.
I can't stay curled up in bed and, you know, so, but yeah. And you don't really know how you're supposed to act or be. So nothing is wrong.
No, definitely.
You know, everyone has their own way to do it. So,
you did ask too if the people close to me knew what I was experiencing. And I do think it's kind of important to touch on. No, definitely not.
Okay.
Is the short answer. And even to this day, I think still some really have no idea. Some people know pieces, some people know more than others. Some people probably have no clue what was going on in our home. And honestly, the full picture, I don't think I'll ever show that to anybody. You know? And that's okay. You know, I don't feel like I have to, right? I can talk about it without getting into the nitty-gritty details. And still try to heal from that. But I I was really determined to show the world that I was fine, that things were good, that my life was good, that we were in a loving relationship. I had this cute little family, you know, and I think it almost became second nature to me. And that I just had this constructed version of my life that I presented to everyone around me. And even within my own home, I was doing the same thing. Like I was pretending, right? I would try to talk things through with TJ. And of course, there were moments, real moments of understanding where it felt like he was on board. He was receptive. He wanted to get help. He wanted to change. He wanted to do things, but it always faded, always faded. And I think I kept going because somewhere deep down, I believed two things simultaneously. The first thing was that if I acted like things were okay long enough, that they would shift, that they would change.
That makes sense.
Yeah. And the second was that I would be the one to bring the light to his darkness. That it was me. I was his wife. That's what I was supposed to do, you know? And I don't think that makes me naive. At least I hope it doesn't. But I think it makes me human. You know, when you love someone, you don't want to give up on them. And you want to be the thing that saves them.
That is so true.
Yeah. And, you know, but as I've been healing, I learn more and more that you can't pour light into darkness unless there's an open hole.
Exactly.
There's, you know, so it's something that he needed to want as much as me.
And you just couldn't quite meet together. So
yeah,
I think you both tried. He tried as much as he was capable.
Yeah.
And then you definitely tried. And, you know, you're married and you know, you're raising kids together and, you know, you have both families. Of course that you tried to make it work.
Yeah.
That you are human. And I think that you did what was natural. So, and then I think there's a moment where you just know.
Yeah.
This is, it's time. Like, this is just not.
Yeah. And my moment with that was, it was a clarity too that he couldn't do it with me. It was to the point where I was enabling him in a negative way because I was doing everything for him, because I was coddling him, because I was, you know, and I was like, if you're really going to get better, you have to do it on your own. Like, I can support you. I can motivate you. I can talk to you on the phone. I can tell you you're doing a good job, but I cannot do this for you. You've got to make this decision.
Mm-hmm. And what point is your life worth, your own life worth separating yourself from that and just saying, I don't deserve this.
Yeah.
I want you to get better.
Yeah.
But I also have to be happy as well.
Yeah. But it took a big thing for me to switch in my head, you know, to really switch in my head. I mean, there's been times where I had been like, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I can stay in this relationship, you know. But I think having his son with me at that moment too, when he just drove away, and I was like, this is yours. Like, I'm yours, but this is yours. This kid is yours. Like, where are you going? You know?
Yeah, that's a lot.
I think that kind of flipped a switch.
Yeah. And again, I don't know if that's because we're both Geminis, because I'm exactly that way too.
Yeah.
Like, throughout my life, I would put up with things for the longest, right? With people. But then once it finally clicked,
you're like, no.
I was good.
Yeah.
And then I never thought twice about, you know,
Yeah.
trying to fix it or anything. It was just like,
okay,
how can we move forward?
Yeah.
Move on with this. So,
definitely.
Yeah. You know, now that I know you're Gemini, that I'll just always tease
we'll just
you.
keep doing that.
Yeah, we'll just kind of, you know. So we talked a little bit about, I have here in my notes, do you think society expects widows to tell a certain kind of story about the person who died? And I would say yes. What do you feel about that? Do you think society does?
Absolutely.
dictate
question.
how we're supposed to
Yes.
feel or what it should look like?
Yes. I think there's kind of an unspoken script that people think that we should follow the moment we become a widow. I feel like it's something like grieve deeply, speak kindly, remember fondly, and then move forward gracefully. It's just a couple steps, you know?
Yes.
And if your story doesn't fit neatly inside that script, I think people don't know what to do with you, kind of like we talked about a little bit. Society is comfortable with a certain kind of widow, I think. The one who maybe loved purely, lost tragically, and then just carries that love forward like a torch, right? Like an open heart, you know?
Yeah.
And there's nothing wrong with that. And I think there are people that have stories like that. And that's amazing. But I think most of our stories aren't like that. I think they're more complicated than that.
For sure.
And, you know, there's no script. Like where's the script for all those other types of stories? You know, where are those? And because all of our stories are different, I think there's a lot of shame wrapped around the idea of speaking honestly, especially in a situation kind of like mine with that complicated history, or when it comes to suicide.
Yes.
It's very hard.
That is a hard topic.
Yeah. Like death somehow erases everything that happened before it. Like the moment someone's gone, the only acceptable thing left to do is protect their memory, even if it's at the cost of your own truth.
Mm-hmm.
And I understand that impulse, like we talked about. You know, we talked about me putting TJ on that pedestal. But I also think that that silence has a cost. Because somewhere out there right now, there's a woman sitting in her grief, feeling alone, completely alone, wondering why her story doesn't look like everyone else's, wondering why she's not following the script that society gives us.
Yes.
And if something's wrong with her because she feels differently or that she's feeling more than one thing at the same time. Mm-hmm. And I would just want her to know that nothing is wrong with her. Nothing. That her story is valid, every single word of it. The love, the pain, the complicated, messy, beautiful, heartbreaking truth of every story. And all of those stories deserve to be held and told and healed from.
Yes.
Every
All of
single
it's
one.
okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
All of it
It
is.
really is.
Because I think, too, women can feel easily ashamed if they don't follow the narrative.
Yes.
And, you know, if they do say something that may sound a little negative, well, how could you speak of him that way? He's not even here. And so it's easy to just, okay, I'll just tuck all that away because nobody really needs to know anyway, only me.
Yeah.
And that's not healing.
No. When
Can
you
you
say the
imagine-
response in your head before you say it out loud because you're afraid of what you say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So can you imagine if you have kept all of this tucked deep down inside of you?
Yeah.
At some point, you just wouldn't function.
No.
So
It would cause so much harm to your own psyche, your own well-being, not even just mentally, but physically. And it would tear you apart.
yes. So the truth always matters, right?
It does. It really
Yes.
does.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so my next question was, what became possible once you allowed yourself to tell the whole truth, not just about your husband, but about yourself, your relationship, your grief, and your future?
Yes. Honestly, I would say everything became possible once I was able to open up, because that's what happens when you finally put something down that you've carried all on your own forever. You know, your hands are suddenly free and you realize that you can pick up the things that you hadn't been able to hold in years. And the first thing that I started to find was me. You know, I don't say that lightly because I was in so deep inside survival mode for so long, you know, just managing, pretending, shrinking, tiptoeing, that somewhere along the way I had lost track of who Stephanie actually was. You know, what she wanted, what she felt, what she deserved. And dealing with the truth has started to give her back to me. And she was
love
gone
that.
for a long time.
Yes.
And, with that becomes growth, and that real growth. I think there's a difference between, just growth and real growth, like really moving forward. But I think it's opened that up for me. And it's the kind of growth that doesn't happen when you're just going through the motions or holding everything together for everyone else. It's the kind that only comes when you're honest enough with yourself to look at the hard things and say, okay, now what?
Yes.
Right? And I've started to rekindle my passions. We talked a lot about my passions at the beginning. So the things that had always been mine, like the music, the writing, the creativity, those were things that had gotten quieter during the years, that we struggled.
Yeah.
And they're starting to find their voice again. And that takes time, but it's like parts of me that had been asleep are slowly waking up. And another thing is that I found love again.
Yes.
And it's a real love. It's the kind that felt safe from the very beginning. It's the kind that doesn't require me to edit myself or brace myself for impact or wonder which version of tomorrow I'm going to wake up to. And the kind that has made me realize what it was always supposed to feel like. The kind that brings me peace and not chaos. And none of that, not a single bit of it, would have been possible if I hadn't been willing to first acknowledge the whole truth. The whole truth. And that truth, it really does set you free. It feels like that would be on a coffee mug. The truth sets you free, But I'm living proof that that's real.
For sure.
Yeah.
Do you think that if you hadn't acknowledged it, do you think that you might have chosen a similar relationship? Do you ever think about that?
Yeah, I definitely do. And, I know this isn't what this podcast is about, but TJ was not my first abusive relationship. So I don't know how that pattern would have changed without me being able to open up about it and be honest about it and realize my part in it as well. Who I was, what I was letting happen.
Yeah. No, I totally get that.
Yeah.
And then it probably opened up for you to recognize
Oh, yeah.
what was good, what you deserved.
Yeah. And that it wasn't even out
when
there.
it was happening,
Yeah.
you were like, oh, okay.
This was good.
Yes. Was there anything that surprised you as you've been going through your growth, like you had mentioned? Anything that came up for you about yourself that you forgot about that surprised you a little bit? When you said
Probably.
Stephanie's back,
Yes.
Like, oh my gosh,
Yes.
like I forgot that I loved this, or I forgot that this is how I would react in this situation, and this makes me so happy.
Yeah. I
That
think
sort of thing.
one of the things was kind of the silly side of me,
Okay.
right? Because everything was so tense, so scheduled, so trying to make sure that those eggshells didn't crack anymore, that I kind of just had to be in this bubble, right? This certain form. And I got to the point where people will say to me like, Steph doesn't need to be drunk to have fun, because I will just, if I'm having fun, I will stand on a chair and dance. I will sing at the top of my lungs walking down the street. I will I talk to people. Like people always say, like friends, if I'm walking down the sidewalk, I see people I don't know and I'm like, hi, how are you? Or like in a line. I think all of that kind of silliness and just openness of life is good went away. And I think that's trickled back. And
that's how I've always seen you.
That's good.
And so to know that you lost that for a while,
100%.
that makes me sad because that definitely is not who you are.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that's what you remember about me.
Yes.
But yeah. And also kind of on the opposite spectrum, the standing up for myself, right? Because obviously I wasn't doing that at all. And that took a long time. I'm still working on that. That's something that, you know, I still need to work on, but there were some things that surprised me that happened, you know, in the last couple of years where I was treated a certain way and I was like, that's not going to work for me. You know, thank you for the opportunity or thank you for the memories or whatever, but you know, I'm out of here. Like I can't.
Yes.
I've been through a lot in my life and I don't need this. I don't want this in my
For
life.
sure. I think grief and widowhood definitely reveals your tolerance level.
Yeah.
It goes out the window. Like,
Yeah.
you can easily now say no,
Yeah.
or that doesn't work for me.
Yeah.
Or, you know, if somebody's not treating you right, I feel like I recognize that immediately
Quicker.
now. And that I'm not going to tolerate it.
Yeah.
Or put up with it. It's
Yeah.
like, I've already been through the worst that I could go through. I'm not
want it.
going back that way. So
Yep. Exactly.
definitely reveals.
It does.
That's,
It
yeah.
does.
Yes. So I have here, you had mentioned to not question your intuition. Looking back, what was your intuition trying to tell you?
This was when I read this question, when you sent it to me, it kind of sunk in pretty deep. Not that I hadn't thought about it, but I think it was telling me the truth long before I was ready to hear it. And it's a hard thing to admit. I think I knew even before I said yes to TJ's marriage proposal that something was wrong.
Okay.
We had already had instances of abuse by then, of pain, of anger. My body already knew what my heart just didn't want to accept, I think. I was living in a constant state of fight or flight, just kind of that low hum of anxiety that never really goes away, and a hypervigilance that just became normal, that I kind of forgot that I was probably one of the only people living that way. Not the only people, but not everybody around me was living that way, you know? But I said yes anyway, you know? And I think because hope is powerful.
Oh, yeah.
Very powerful. And the hope for better days, the belief that love could be enough to change the trajectory of something. And honestly, I think his son kept me there too.
I was just thinking that.
Big part of it, I think.
Yeah, you're already, you know, you get involved with the children or the families, and you try to look at the bigger picture of it and say, oh, I'm just going to hang in there. Like, this is going to get better.
Yeah. I just had this little family unit that I was a part of, and I wasn't willing to walk away from it. And I think part of me understood even then that boy, his son, needed me in his life. And part of me wishes I had listened to the quiet voice. And honestly, if I'm ever in a position to give advice to somebody, anyone who's standing at those crossroads, I would say, listen deeply. Like, your intuition is not dramatic. You are not overreacting. It knows. But another truth that I feel like I need to say is that honestly, I would do it all again. And I know it's crazy to think of. And I know that a lot of people that I've said that to are like, what are you talking about? But because TJ's son is in my life now, and he's such a big part of my life, so much joy. And because of the journey, as painful as it was, it brought me exactly where I'm at right now. And when I think about it, where I'm standing right now feels a lot like exactly where I'm supposed to be.
Right. Where you're both supposed to be.
Yeah.
Although at the loss of TJ.
Yeah.
Which again can mess with your mind.
Yeah.
'Cause you're like, why did that have to happen in order for us to be here? But
yeah, it's crazy.
Not to sound cliche, but I think
it's
supposed to whether you believe in God or
Right.
whatever, your belief system is, that it sees down the road and knows what's right. So, or where you'll be.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah. Which I think is a nice and healthy way to look at it.
I do. Right?
I hope so.
I mean, it is. It is.
Yeah.
Sometimes, though, to just help us navigate through it,
Yes.
sometimes you have to just,
Yeah. And it's not going to happen
no.
in a flash. It takes time.
Yes.
And I'm still working towards that. It's not like there's not a end sign, a finished sign,
No, never.
Yeah.
Never. What do you wish women understood about trusting themselves when something feels off?
Yeah. I wish that they could understand that the feeling itself is enough. You don't need proof. You don't need a list of documented incidents. You don't need someone else to validate your own body and your own heart. And that quiet, persistent, uncomfortable feeling that something isn't right, that's data itself. That's information, and it deserves to be taken seriously. And I think, we probably hear this a lot, and hopefully things are changing a little bit, but I think women especially are conditioned from an early age to kind of second guess themselves, to soften their instincts, to wonder if they're being too sensitive or too dramatic. And we're taught to prioritize everyone else's comfort before our own.
Oh, yes.
And that includes even the person that's hurting us. We're just taught that matters over our own well-being. And that conditioning really can cost us everything, I think. And, to get a little bit dark, I think that has cost everything for many people in very negative ways. And so if we can stop that before it happens, I also feel like I want to say something about hope. I lived inside hope for years, right? That's what made me stay.
Right.
Was the hope.
Right.
And it's beautiful and it's necessary, but it's also something that sometimes keeps us from listening, from really listening.
It clouds it.
Yeah. So there's a difference between hoping someone will change and believing they will change. One's in your heart and one is in the actions of the other person. And it's okay to need to see those actions to really be hopeful or believe, right? And, if I could sit across from every woman who is questioning, having the same question, who might be lying awake at night, feeling that feeling in her chest that something isn't right, I would tell her this: you're not crazy. You're not too sensitive and you're not overreacting. Your intuition is one of the most sophisticated, finely tuned instruments you will ever have access to. Ever. And it has been quietly collecting information, noticing patterns, and trying to protect you. So the kindest thing you can do for yourself is learn to listen to it before it has to start screaming at you. Or before there's no more options and it's too late.
Right. And I just think that's so powerful how you said the feeling is enough.
It is.
You don't have to have proof.
Yeah.
You don't have to go through years of hoping that it gets better. Yeah. And that hope does cloud.
Yeah, it can.
Us doing the right thing for ourselves.
For ourselves, yeah.
Because, back to we have to be happy ourselves to make other people happy. And we don't need to tuck our happiness down either. Yeah. And I think you spent years doing that. You were so busy trying to make him happy when that wasn't your job.
Yeah.
But we don't see that when it's happening, right? I've done it. Right. Believe me, I know. But we don't see it when it's happening. But you can definitely honestly say to women now, like, trust your intuition in any situation.
Yes.
That it's always right. It's I don't know when it's ever been wrong. Right?
Yeah.
Right? Wrong?
Right, wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and even if you second guess it, even if, just as an example, you're walking down the street and your brain tells you, you know, you should probably turn around and go the other way. I think a lot of us are like, I'm fine. Like, there's nothing, you know, just do it. Just turn around. There's nothing. I mean, maybe your friend makes fun of you the next day when you told her you did it, but maybe something really bad would have happened. Just turn around. It's not going to hurt anybody. Just do it.
Yes.
Just listen.
That's a great
Yeah.
tip or lesson.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
Yeah.
sure.
Just do
Trust your intuition.
Yeah.
Definitely. I had here about staying. You said you loved him very much and stayed through a lot. You talked about what kept you fighting for the relationship, that you just kept hoping it would get better. You took on the role of trying to make him better.
Yes.
Probably not realizing the extent that you
yes.
were doing that. But again, when we're in it, sometimes we don't see it. And sometimes people on the outside can see it, like his sister did.
Yeah.
I mean, that was definitely for her to step in and say, no, this needs to stop right now.
You need to leave. You're not safe. Yeah.
Yes.
You know, and it's funny because looking back, you know, hindsight's always 20/20, but you know, even some family and close friends of mine would kind of say things and I would get so defensive, so protective. And I think I knew what they were saying was right, you know, but I had decided to marry this man. I had decided to pour my whole heart and soul and life into him. And so I'm going to do what it takes. And you don't need to talk that way. You know?
I'm going to prove you wrong.
Yes. Yes. Exactly.
Well, sometimes I think maybe we're defending the other person. We naturally would do that. But we're also trying to defend ourselves.
Yes.
Do they think that I made the wrong decision?
Yes.
Do they think
I can't do this?
dumb? Or,
yeah.
you know, all of that. And I think that doubles the defensiveness. We just go all out, you know. So that's not strange to me at all that you reacted that way. Totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. And then, of course, just getting help when you know something's not right.
Yes.
Don't talk yourself out of not getting help.
No.
And definitely at least tell somebody. Not, you know, don't hold it inside.
Yeah.
If something bad is going on at home, please let somebody know.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, and I, in talking about getting help, it brings up something that's kind of twofold for me in my situation, because I wish that I would have pushed TJ to get help more. Right. And we talked about that. I think if we would have gotten him professional help earlier on, that he would have had more of an opportunity to heal and kind of figure things out. He would have been better equipped to do that before the darkness got so big. Right. But another fold is I needed help in the situation. And not just help because I was in an abusive situation, but help with trying to help TJ. And I was, you know, like I had said before, I thought it was my duty. Thought it, you know, if anyone was going to help him, it was going to be me. And to the point where when I finally did explain what was happening, and this was after the situation in July, the camping situation, people, it was almost too much for people. I was just throwing this on their lap, like, I need help with him. I need help. And at that point, I wasn't even talking about the abuse. I just need help helping him. Let's help him. He, you know, I want him to get better. I want him to realize that his life can be better. And
were people not receptive to that?
I think it was a lot for them to realize what was happening. And so, you know, there were a few people that still continued to speak to him and try to motivate him, but there were people that also stepped away, kind of in a situation like his son. They decided to like step away, like, whoa, like as soon as he gets on the right path, I'll step back into his life. And that's understandable. I don't blame anyone for that. But I think in my way of trying to ask people to help and support me in helping and supporting TJ. I wish I would have done it sooner. Being open and honest about what was happening.
Yes. Yes. You just didn't recognize that at the time.
Yeah.
Do you think too that, and not to bash men in general in any way, but, you know, I think there's that stigma of getting help when you're a man. You don't want to be known as having a problem at all. You're
that you're going to therapy, that you're struggling.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes. And I think that's why men put it off for so long.
Yeah. They think they'll be fine, that they can just, be a man about it.
Yes, exactly. And so possibly even if you had tried even harder, which again, that wasn't you can't make somebody do something, right? No matter how much you love them, how hard you love on them, and you're just letting them know that you're there. You know, only they can do that.
Yes.
So as much as you love on someone and you try to help them, you know, ultimately they have to be willing, right? But again, I just think with men that there's just such a stigma out there of getting help. And I wish that wasn't true.
Yeah, me too.
Because there's nothing wrong with a person if they have a mental illness, a mental disease.
No.
You know? And
we have so many resources that can help with things like that. And you know, they're just not used as much as I wish they were.
Yeah. And that we would actually see that person as being brave and courageous and getting help so they can be happy for themselves, number one, and then to be able to have healthy relationships and all of that.
And thrive,
so it does. It makes you sad for him for sure. Yeah. Because you do see what could have been.
Yes. Yeah.
So how has your understanding of your marriage changed since his death? And did his death bring grief, relief, or both?
Whew. Both.
Yes. And you talked a little bit about that earlier with his son.
Yeah.
What the comment his son made, that it did bring you both relief.
Yeah. As far as kind of the understanding of our marriage changing after his death, I think it was very significant, actually. And in ways I never expected. So when TJ passed, you know, my first instinct, as I shared, was to put him on that pedestal. Remember only the good, protect the story. It just kind of felt like an emotional armor, maybe, for me. But as time passed and the armor started to come off piece by piece, I started to see things more clearly. And I think when you're inside something, really inside it, you lose perspective. We kind of talked about that.
Yes.
You're just busy surviving, you're managing, you're hoping that the full picture happening around you, like, will get better. But death has a way of creating distance, which we've kind of talked about a little bit too. And distance has a way of creating clarity. So things that I explained away or minimize or convinced myself were normal, I started to see them for what they actually were. Patterns I hadn't fully realized while I was living inside of them became impossible to ignore once I really had the space to look at it. And it was a complicated process because that clarity brought grief all over again. It was a whole different kind of grief, not just for TJ, but for the version of the marriage that I thought I was going to be getting, that I hoped I was going to be getting.
Yes.
You know, I also came to understand that his illness more deeply after he was gone. So I kind of talked about learning more about borderline, really researching it, the way it shapes a person's reality and relationships. And it didn't excuse what happened, but like we talked about, it helped me to understand a little bit more. And understanding is its own kind of healing. And I think the most significant shift has been moving from a place of confusion to a place of compassion. It gave me more compassion for TJ and what he was battling, and compassion for his son who grew up inside of that storm longer than I did. And then lastly, compassion for myself. And, for the woman who deeply loved and tried endlessly and stayed longer than I probably should have and still showed up every single day, I know she deserved better. I know that for certainty now.
Yes.
I don't look at my marriage the way I did the day he died. I don't look at it the way I did a year ago. And I imagine that my understanding will continue to evolve as I continue to heal. And that's the thing about truth, is that it reveals itself slowly and in layers and at the pace that you're ready to receive it.
Definitely. That last line for sure.
Yeah.
You have to be ready to receive it.
I think so.
And yes, to continue to show yourself grace, because I think that it will reveal things to you for the rest of your life.
It will.
Maybe not as often as time goes on, but it definitely, it's something that you experienced, a relationship that you had.
Yeah.
And so it'll always affect you. But you've also, it sounds like you have found your way through it, or you're navigating through it a little bit easier.
I feel more comfortable walking through it, maybe.
Yes.
I feel like I'm learning from it. You know?
And definitely the more tools, as we go along and we learn things, that just puts tools in our tool belt, right?
Yes.
So when things do come up, sometimes we've already, I recognize that.
Yes.
I know how to work through this. Yeah. So that's, I don't love this experience that we're going through, but I do love that part.
Yeah.
That's brought that out in me.
Yeah.
And possibly you feel this way, that I've not only learned more about myself, but yes, just coping tools.
Yes.
Things that I did my whole life that I repeated over and over.
Yeah.
And now so much is clear. And sometimes I think, why did it have to take Mel to be gone for so many things to come to the surface and become crystal clear?
Yeah.
And then, of course that makes me sad, but it also just makes me smile and talk out loud to him and just tell him how grateful
I get it.
I am.
I see.
That so it's rough, right?
It is.
The whole journey is it can be.
And you did ask a little bit about if his death brought grief, relief, or both. And I know we touched a little bit on it, but I do feel like it's important, because I feel like, especially with something like suicide, I feel like this is a big thing. And, feeling relief really scared me at first. And nobody tells you that that's okay. Nobody prepares you for the moment that you realize somewhere underneath the devastation and the shock and the heartbreak that there's this like quiet exhale, and it's just a loosening of something that held you so tight for so long. And then immediately the guilt rushes in, and it's wild. And I know that you've experienced, sometimes you laugh and you're like, oh, like I shouldn't be laughing right now.
We're supposed to feel a certain way and act a certain way.
Yeah. So, and it makes you feel, at least for me, there were times that it made me feel like a terrible person. Like, what kind of person am I to feel relief that someone I loved is gone? Like, what kind of person does that make me? And that question really haunted me. And it's a voice that gets really hard sometimes. But I did want to talk about what I've come to understand as I've been moving through my healing.
Okay.
So the relief wasn't about losing him. That wasn't the relief. It was about finally being able to breathe. Years of walking on eggshells, years of fight or flight, years of managing and pretending, hoping, surviving. My nervous system had been living in a constant state of bracing for impact. And then suddenly it was like the impact was gone. There was no impact coming towards me. There was nothing to be fearful of in that aspect. And it's not something to be ashamed of. It took me a minute to think that. Even now, I sometimes have to remind myself. it's kind of a trauma response to feel that, to give yourself permission to unwind. You know, that's a body and a heart that had been on high alert for years, slowly beginning to understand that it's safe to stand down, to relax, to breathe, to just be able to sit and not be so tense.
Yeah.
And, but the grief is real too, profoundly real. And I grieved the man that I loved on his best days. I grieved the future that I hoped for. I grieved the version of our story that never got to be written. I grieved for his kids who lost their father. And I grieve for the healing that he never got to find. I grieve all of that. And that doesn't mean that I can't feel relief. But the most important thing I can say to anyone who has ever felt that complication, that mixture of grief and relief, is that you're not a bad person. This does not make you a bad person. Relief after surviving something hard is not a character flaw. It's not a measure of how much you loved them. And it's not something you need to confess or apologize for or hide it in a dark corner of your heart. It's just the truth of what it feels like when something very heavy is finally lifted. And you're allowed to feel it, all of it. The grief, the relief, and everything in between. None of it makes you less loving. And if anything, it makes you remarkably and beautifully human.
Yes.
In my mind.
Yes.
Yeah.
For sure. I love that.
Thank you.
What do you think TJ would say if he could see your life today? Do you think he'd want you sitting on the sidelines of life? Or, I mean, I think he would, he knows that you would not sit on the sidelines of life.
Yeah, he knows that. Yeah.
Took you a while to get back into
sure.
it.
Yes.
But I definitely think that he'd want you participating in life. But
Yeah.
what do you think that he would say if he could see your life today?
Yeah. You know, just a little kind of touch on if he'd want me to be on the sidelines or participating. I don't mean to sound morbid, but this is something that I've kind of worked through and talked through. I think part of the reason that he did what he did was because he thought it would be better for the people he loved. Which isn't true. It's not true. But in his mind and in his heart, I think that was not a selfish part of what he decided to do, of taking his own life. I think he truly believed that the people he loved would be able to be happy if he wasn't there. And in that, it makes me know that he wanted us to be happy. Right?
Right.
Like he really wanted that. But when I think about what he would say, like if he actually walked into this room and could say something, it kind of makes me giggle. I'm sure he'd come out with some kind of joke about how he doesn't like Trevor.
Oh.
Who's my boyfriend now, by the way. You know, something about him, like take one look and be like, I don't like him.
What are you thinking?
But when he really does, right?
Okay.
Kind of like a dad moment, but that's just kind of what I imagine that would be kind of the first thing, like that you chose this guy, you know? But he would really like him. I believe he really would. And because, you know, deep down, he knows that Trevor's a good man and the real TJ, you know, the one with the heart we talked about, would have recognized that. And he would be glad that the person showing up for me is someone worthy of that. And I think he would know that Trevor's that person. And honestly, I think he would fill up most of the time talking about how proud he is of his kids if he was here and could say something right now. His son just graduated from college.
Oh, wow.
And right now, as we're sitting here, he's in Spain for the third time on a study abroad. So he's doing amazing things.
That is amazing.
Yeah, just seeing the world and exploring. And I know TJ would just beam about that. And His daughter is married and building her own life in a completely different state. She lives in the South now, and she's kind of stepping into her own story, and I know he'd be proud. And, maybe that's the most healing part of all of this, is watching his children thrive. Watching them choose life and adventure and love and growth, because I think that's what he really wanted, even in the end, especially at the end. And I think if he could see all of it, if he could see Trevor for me, his son in Spain, his daughter just building her own life, and me sitting here with you, just being able to talk about it, I think it would make him smile.
Yes, I truly believe that. I agree. For sure.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is so awesome with his kids.
Yes.
Because they totally could have went opposite of that.
Oh, yeah.
Because it is a tragedy, and their father is gone, and they had experienced things before that. And so they could totally, you would think that they would have gone the other way.
Yeah.
But
they inspire me all the time.
Good. And they probably want their dad to be proud of them too.
Yes.
Because I truly feel like they do see us.
Yeah, I think so too.
They do. Yeah. So, and they're with us all the time.
Yes.
So just talking about relationships and companionship, just to kind of tie this all together, and just the new season of your life. I have, what did you learn about love after loss? And did losing your husband change the way you love people?
Okay. Yeah. Some of the things that I learned is that love is so much bigger and more resilient than I ever gave it credit for. Because I think before all of this, I had a certain idea of what love was supposed to look like. A certain shape it was supposed to take, and loss, that real complicated, layered loss, had a way of kind of completely dismantling those ideas for me, and rebuilding them into something far more honest. And I learned that love isn't always clean. It's not always simple. It doesn't always look like the thing you imagined when you were younger. And sometimes it looks just like staying. Sometimes it looks like leaving. Right? Love can be different. Sometimes it looks like both happening at the same time. And I learned that you can love someone fully and completely still not be able to save them. I learned that love, as powerful and as real as it is not a cure.
Exactly.
It can't reach into someone's darkness and pull them out of it if they aren't able to find their own light. And that was a hard lesson, and one that I still sit with some days. Because you want to believe that love is all you need, that love will fix everything.
That you could have saved him somehow.
Yeah, but it doesn't. I learned that grief is just love with nowhere to go. And that eventually, if you let it, the love finds new places to land and new people to wrap itself around, new reasons to keep showing up. And I learned that my heart, after everything it's been through, was capable of opening up again. And that actually really surprised me. But after years of, walking on eggshells and all the complications we talked about, my heart still wanted love. It still believed in it, and it still reached for it. And I felt that really hard when Trevor walked in, that I still wanted that.
And so it didn't surprise you at all? Oh,
it surprised me.
Okay.
But it surprised me how deeply I felt it. Not that it was super fast, but that my heart was open to it. I thought my heart was closed to it. I thought I'm just done.
I'm not ready.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, and
I definitely need more time,
I just don't want to deal
put the effort in
with any kind of relationship,
Understandable.
Yeah. But when he walked into my life, it was like, oh, I do want this. My heart is so open to this. And I didn't realize that it was gonna do that. It felt like my heart could exhale, and like all of that capacity for love that had been waiting in there, that had been hoping and trying and surviving, finally found somewhere safe and good and peaceful to rest with Trevor. And maybe most importantly, loss taught me that I deserve to be loved in a way that felt like safety, in a way that felt like peace, and in a way that never once made me want to brace for impact. And knowing what I deserve, like really knowing it in my bones, might be the greatest thing that love after loss ever gave me, I think. Yeah.
Yes. And I can see that you're truly happy.
Yeah.
And that makes me happy.
Good.
That you found that.
Good.
And so my last question on this segment was, looking back, do you think that relationship helped shape what you were looking for in a future partner? So I think you answered that.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
It opened up your heart, opened up your eyes to recognize who that person could be and what it looked like.
Yeah.
The final question is, if there is a widow listening right now who experienced a similar type of relationship, one where they are grieving both the loss of a person and the reality of that relationship, and like you said, sitting in the darkest season of her life and just truly believes that she'll never laugh or dance or sing, and this may have been you at one point, what do you think healing could look like, and what do you want her to know?
Okay. I wrote a lot because I want you to know a lot.
That's okay. We want you to share it.
Good. So the first thing is, I see you. I know where you're sitting right now. I know what that darkness feels like. I know the weight of grieving someone you loved while simultaneously grieving the relationship you deserved and never got. I know how impossibly complicated that is to carry, and I know how alone it can feel. But I need you to hear me when I say you are not alone. And this is not the end of your story. Healing might not look like what you expected it to. It won't arrive all at once. It won't show up one morning like sunshine after a storm and suddenly everything is bright and easy. It comes in small moments. A morning where you wake up and feel that the weight is slightly lighter than the day before. A laugh that surprises you, that catches you completely off guard, and for a second you forget to feel guilty about it. A song that moves you instead of breaking you. A moment outside where the air hits your face and suddenly deep inside you feel a whisper that says, I'm still here. And those are the moments you should hold on to. They are the first threads of your way back. And I want to tell you something about the grief you're carrying as well, the complicated kind, the kind that has pain woven right alongside the love. You are allowed to feel it. You are allowed to miss them. You are allowed to be angry. You are allowed to feel relief and then feel guilty about the relief. You're allowed to grieve the marriage you hoped for and never got. You're allowed to mourn the version of yourself that got lost along the way. None of these feelings make you a bad person. They make you human. Someone who loved someone complicated with everything she had. So don't let anyone rush you. Don't let anyone hand you a timeline for how long it should take or what it should look like or when you should be ready to move forward. Your grief is yours. It moves at your pace, and every single part of it is valid. But here's what I most need you to know. That laugh you think you'll never find again, it's still inside of you. The dance, the one that used to make you completely alive and feel free, your body still remembers that. That version of yourself, the one who felt joy and passion and possibility, she didn't leave. She's waiting quietly and patiently through all of it, and she'll never stop believing that you'll come back for her. The travel, the singing, the love, the feeling of waking up and being genuinely excited for the day, it's all still possible. And I promise you that. Because I was sitting exactly where you are sitting, in the dark, wondering if the woman I used to be was gone forever, wondering if I had used up all my joy and all my hope and all my capacity for love somewhere in the wreckage of everything that had happened. And then the light came back, and it's still coming back, and I'm finding new light every day. Not because everything was suddenly perfect, not because the grief disappeared or the complicated feelings resolved themselves nice and neatly. It was because I made a choice, one small, brave choice at a time, to keep going, to keep feeling, to keep reaching for the next small movement of life, bringing that life even when I couldn't see the whole picture. And one day I looked up and I realized I was laughing again, like really laughing again. And I was dancing again. I was singing again. I was loving again. I was living again. And it was full and unapologetic and joyful. So if you're sitting in the darkness right now, if you're the woman this question was written for, please hear this. You are stronger than this season. You are more resilient than you currently believe. And the life waiting for you on the other side of this grief is more beautiful than you can possibly imagine from where you're standing right now. So please don't give up on yourself. The world needs the version of you that comes out the other side of this. And so do you.
Yes. Your words are so beautiful.
Thank you.
And you're just so honest and raw and real. And that's how it should be. And it totally explains why you are where you are right now. And like you said, it was step by step. It took some time. You probably questioned yourself. It was confusing, but
And I'm still doing it.
yes,
You know, like we talked about.
no
it's
finish
not-
line.
Yeah. You just keep going, keep moving forward, one step in front of the other, and finding those little pieces of light, those little glimmers. You know, that's
Right.
what you got to focus on.
It is the little things.
It is.
You think that it's supposed to be like these big things that just fix
Yeah.
or
One
you
big
know,
moment.
Yes,
Yeah.
that heals you instantly.
Yeah.
And no, it's all the little tiny things that are expected or not expected that sneak up on you,
Yes.
or that you look back and go, oh, okay, this has been this way for a month or two now.
Yeah.
I just didn't see it then.
Yeah.
But oh gosh, I've been doing it.
Yeah. Like, oh, look. Yeah.
Yes. Does that ever happen to you
Oh, yeah.
too?
Oh,
Where
yeah.
you look back on something and go, okay,
Oh,
I do that all the
Oh.
time. I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
Jen, you've been fine with that this
you're
whole
doing
time.
okay.
You just didn't see it.
yes.
So,
Yes.
and that's a win. And that definitely is one baby step towards healing too.
Yeah.
No finish line,
No.
but at least you're just still moving.
Moving.
So, which I think is a great theme for you too, because
Yeah.
you're always moving.
Yeah.
So that's what I love about you.
Yeah. Thank you.
Well, thank you so much. Was there anything else that you wanted to add? Anything that we didn't touch? I feel like that we...
Oh, yeah. We talked a lot. There's a lot for sure. And
Yes.
I'm really, really honored to have been here and been able to speak and answer questions and tell my story. And I thought it was going to be great, but sitting here at the end of it, my heart is just overflowing. I feel like there's a lot of people out there that are going to resonate with what I had to say. And I would be happy to talk to anyone more about anything if they ever needed it. And I feel very grateful to be here. And it was very healing for me to be able to be here with you.
That means so much.
Yeah. So
Really.
Thank you.
And I am honored, like I said, to have you here.
Thank you.
I feel like honored is not even a big enough
Oh,
word.
Yeah. I get that.
I mean, it's been a long time since I've seen you.
Yeah.
I didn't know your full story.
Right.
But to just connect with you again and to just know the truth, I guess, of
Well, and it's
of
crazy
what
as,
happened.
we're friends and we knew each other, and Mel passed shortly after TJ did.
So I hadn't realized how close it was.
And we touched base a few times, but
Mm-hmm.
it's nice to be able to really like sit next to you and know that we are dealing with so many similar things and
Yes.
having that support system, and it's pretty incredible.
Yeah, it's well needed.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So I just have here in my notes in closing that, I think one thing that's in the front of my mind with today's conversation and it went exactly how I thought it would after you and I had connected and spoke a little bit.
Yeah.
And so I see how easy it can be to stop trusting ourselves, especially as women.
Yes.
And to explain away what we feel or what we already know deep down inside and not trusting our intuition, right? And so I just think that your story reminds us that our inner voice matters and we need to trust that.
It does.
And, this definitely wasn't, you told your story about TJ, but that was not our focus to, gosh, I'm not sure exactly what word to use, but you wanted to tell your story about your relationship with him. But I think our main focus was to just let women know that when you feel like there is not hope, there is hope.
Yes.
To trust your intuition, to always trust yourself.
Yes.
To take the steps that are needed to, just to get out of a bad situation.
Yes. Yes. Or to ask for help.
Ask for help and to just recognize it.
Yes.
And I think my biggest nugget that I'm taking away from this is just with intuition, that what you said is the feeling is enough.
It is.
You don't need proof.
No.
You don't need to, I'll just give it 6 more months or 1 more year, or if he or she does this, then it'll be better.
Yep. And how often do we do that? We give ourselves like a deadline and then we let that deadline pass.
Always.
Yeah. No, just listen. And that doesn't mean that, you have to, if something's happening, that you have to completely walk away. But think about your options while you have options.
Right.
Whether you need help, you need a mediator, you need a counselor, or if you do need to walk away, but listen to yourself. You know.
You do.
You do.
You do. And I think that's the biggest takeaway from this. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I am just so glad that you are here.
Me too.
And I know that so many women that will listen to this will be like, wow, I am not the only one.
No.
Or I can do this.
Yes.
Or, you've given them ideas of how they can navigate through it.
Yeah.
So, because you're proof of that. And I'm just so glad that you are finding happiness.
Thank you.
And that you still communicate with his kids.
Yes.
All of you deserve that. And I know that he would want that. Yes, it was difficult while he was here at times, but I know that he does see you guys and he does want that for sure. So, well, thank you so much.
Thank you
for being on the podcast.
Yes.
So, and possibly you could come back and we could expand on this a little bit more.
I would love to.
So,
I would love to.
Thank you,
Anytime.
Stephanie.
Thank you.
Okay. In this powerful conversation, Stephanie shared her journey through widowhood, the challenges of loving someone struggling with mental health issues, the importance of trusting your intuition, and the lessons she learned about standing up for herself, seeking help, and telling the whole truth about her experience. This episode is not about judging her late husband or judging the past. It's about understanding it. It's about healing. It's about self-trust. And it's about the courage it takes to stop questioning your own voice. The Dead Truth is a podcast about what death reveals. This definitely feels like one of those episodes. It gave permission for Stephanie to tell her whole story. Because death revealed things. It revealed the gap between the public story and the private story. It revealed what Stephanie missed and what she didn't. It revealed what she wanted in a future relationship. It revealed what was true. She loved a complicated man, lived through a complicated marriage, experienced complicated grief, and found the courage to be honest about all of it. Whether you're grieving a loss, navigating a difficult relationship, rebuilding after a heartbreak, or simply learning to trust yourself again, this conversation offers honesty, hope, and an important reminder. You know more than you think you do, so always trust your intuition. Remember, you are not just the sad character in your own story. You are someone who lived through something that changed everything, and you're still here. You are the narrator of your story. And even on those days when it feels impossible, you are still the one holding the pen. So write it messy, write it tired, write it one breath at a time if you have to, but don't put the pen down. Until next time, take care of your heart, your mind, your body, and just do your best. And remember, in grief and in life, the truth always finds its way to the surface. That's the dead truth. See you next time.